This is our Snake of the Union.
Yeah. Did you type that in the notes?
Yes, I did.
That's great. There is a big old elephant in the room right now.
Hideo Kojima presents Brain Structure.
Well, on that note, I am not amused.
Yeah. It is, I'm going to be frank, it's a train wreck. I mean, like, I had a straight up bad time listening to it. And there's so many things going on about it that we'll deep dive into. But
I don't know if we should start out talking about it this way. Maybe we should be a little nicer.
I mean, let's jump right into it. No, fuck it. They need to, they need to hear. Like,
okay,
how nice do you want to be about that?
I didn't think it was that bad, but by all means, go off, Fingers.
Yeah.
Fingers is full of anger lately.
It wasn't good, but
yeah, I mean,
Fingers understands the flawed aspects of it to another level.
Yeah, you can speak on it way better than we can in this specific area. Like, I don't have a problem with as a layman in terms of audio. I think it sounds bad.
Yeah.
The content of it is fine. It's just it's Kojima talking about how he came up with certain ideas and how certain things got started, and that's fine. You know, I like hearing that kind of stuff. The problem is it just doesn't sound good. It doesn't flow good. This is where you need to step in. Like it's not the message, it's the medium that's the problem.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, you're spot on with that. Like what he's talking about and what he's saying, sure, that's all entertaining, but the presentation of it and the production behind it is just. And I've got a cold right now, so I'm going to sound a little off. I get that, but it's it all sounds really muddy and very it's muddy and also crispy and tinny and very harsh on the ears and a lot of
like overproduced.
Yeah, and just a lot of the range in between, like from different voices, is all over the place. So if you're listening with headphones, it's going to be a bad time. Like I was just listening on my phone and was just like, God, this is all over the place. And there would just be certain sound effects that they would drop in that were just like ear shattering. I mean, and like the EQ that they were doing on it, like I was literally pulling it up on like the visualizer. I was like, what the fuck is this shape right here? And why is it all the way here on the like past 10,000 kilohertz? Like, why are they boosting all that and then doing a complete drop off? Like they're basically doing like a high cut where they're like not letting any of the highs pass through at all past a certain thing. And the slope that they're doing it at is so extreme that it's unnatural sounding. And it's just really weird.
Like 4 people are going to know what you're talking about, dude.
All right. So there'll be certain. I don't like. I'm going to talk about it. Y'all talk about the other shit and get deep into all.
This is his moment. Everybody, shut up.
You're just talking about goddamn computer chips and x86 for fucking 20 minutes. Here's the thing. There's frequencies. Sound goes from low to high, and when it goes from higher to higher, you get those mosquito tones. The really high pitched sounds. And they're boosting a lot of frequencies in that mosquito tone area. That's where like air lives and stuff like that. There's just a hard cut where it's like if you were to have an equalizer, you know that you would normally have the little faders and you would slide up and down. Imagine the ones on the far right, the far 2, you just slammed all the way down to 0 for some reason.
So
like in the car, in the car.
So are you saying
you know what I'm talking about?
That there's a problem?
Don't do that.
Are you saying that there's a problem
with Kojima's
frequency?
God damn it! You played us like a damn fiddle! Hey, I'm Fingers.
Yo, it's Apache Smash.
Hey everyone, this is Days Ahead.
And I'm Nitroid. You're listening to the Kojima Frequency.
I do think it's funny that we do have a show called The Kojima Frequency, and you are literally breaking down Kojima's frequencies.
Yeah, I mean, this is what the show's about, really.
The most meta thing possible. Yeah. I love it.
That's why they're missing them, because we stole them. No, but it does sound shit. Like Kojima sounds shit. The robot sounds shit, and the translator sounds shit, but all for different reasons.
Yeah, brains, like...
I don't want to be mean about this.
Yeah, like
I know he's really passionate about this.
Dude, you're mean about everything else. Like, well, let's go.
You're mean about everything.
I'll be mean about Metal Gear Solid 4. That's a different issue. I don't want to be mean about this.
I'm not I'm not mean because I'm trying to be nice. I'm mean because I'm not mean because I can't get that angry over something that I felt was like mid.
Okay.
I want it to be good.
Yeah.
I can definitely see what you're talking about with the audio things, and like brain is an interesting concept, but her voice was so grating.
Brain structure. The theme of episode 1 is
tinnitus.
Yeah, I mean, that's like, it just, like, I'm saying this so they hear it and go, hey, turn back the fucking treble on her. Like, she doesn't need to sound that, it sounds like it's doubled over, like it's layered twice.
Yeah.
And it
Well,
sounds
that's what
like a
they're trying to go
mistake.
for.
Like, it sounds like it's a fuck up. Like, that's, and
Right. That's sort of the problem here, is that you can tell they did this on purpose because they were going for something.
like future sound or something. Yeah, they're like, this is what speakers sound like in the future.
Yeah.
It's like, I gotta hope not. I'm gonna fucking rip my ears off. Like, this is bad.
Yeah, it doesn't work. And my biggest, like I can, that's fine. Like, that's whatever. The thing that really jars me is the overdub, where you have Kojima talking
That's
at this
another
lower
aspect,
volume, and then you've got the translator / narrator talking over him because they wanted to have Kojima's voice in the podcast.
So the thing is,
Yeah.
is that he talks like this over Nitro. Go ahead, Nitro.
No, that was it.
No, so the thing. No, I'm gonna overdub you with him.
Oh,
We're gonna do it.
what am I doing?
You're doing. See, we can't even do it. It's. I was trying to I was gonna be your translator.
I
just
get what
talk
you-
over you.
Yeah,
like him.
I got
And then-
confused in 4 seconds. I don't know how I listened to 25 minutes of that.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, it sounds awful to have someone talking over someone else. Like that's good in like a quick little interview situation, or like someone's accepting an award or something, and you got to let them know like, hey, this is what they're saying really quick.
Yeah, but not a podcast.
But to listen to 25 minutes of someone else talking over it, and then that guy not being a very exciting person to listen to, it like I was having a really hard time just.
And to another thing, to the degree, like, of all the like, I get that translation can sometimes be a very like sterile process, but at the very least, try to like maybe emulate Kojima's inflections, because I feel like we're losing a lot of that, which I
Yeah.
expected
Yeah.
to lose some of the dialogue, but to have it in a monotone voice, like, was really discouraging.
Yeah.
And I
And
kind
that's-
of get what they're trying to do with it, because I can see of them trying to say, hey, you know, we want the English dub, but we don't want to like disconnect it too far away from Kojima, I guess auditorily, or audibly or whatever. But it just, the execution is not good.
Yeah, perfectly said. Yeah, you can tell they wanted to keep him in. And the Japanese version, I mean, I listened to a little bit of it, and I may not understand it, but it's less jarring to listen to because you don't have that additional layer sort of, fighting for your attention.
Basically, we're saying we'd rather watch the subtitled version than the dubbed version.
Yeah, subs over dubs for sure.
Yeah, can you guys subtitle this audio recording?
I mean, they should. They're Spotify. They can do video podcasts. I mean, that's part of it.
Why didn't he do that?
That's why I'm pissed off. It's because this is fucking Spotify. It's supposed to be like the world leading thing, and it's Hideo Kojima, like the world leading thing, and it sounds this fucking bad. When our podcast sounds better than that, it's like, come on. That's. I mean, it's kind of, it makes me feel kind of good, but also shame on them for putting out such shit. Like, what the fuck? Like, how can 4 kids basically, just put together a better show than that? Like, that got approved. It's got producers and directors. Like, tighten the fuck up.
A dud.
I don't know.
You can call me a kid again. My 31-year-old ass appreciates that.
I don't know who he was talking about. I was like, whoa, me.
TLDR, higher fingers.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, have some pride in the fucking work. Like, that's...
It is shocking that it is this rough, considering this is far from his first rodeo when it comes to podcasting.
The old podcast sounded great. And that's the thing. It's
Yeah.
like they're just doing too many overproduction, like hoity-toity production tricks, and they're trying to boost all the treble and make everything sound all sizzly, and the robot
you said
sounds
it-
like shit, and they're throwing these sound effects that are just like... You're just like, what the fuck was that?
Those kind of sound effects make sense when you've got like a weird sci-fi visual to look at.
Yeah.
But when it's audio, it's just like, okay, what was that? Like, do you want me to imagine a menu? Like,
And then you just
flying
got these
past the
overdubbed
screen?
things, so it's like TGA, Jeff Keighley,
Yeah.
and it's like, whoa, it's just I
Like, stop yelling at me.
TGA. The Jeff's answer.
Hi, everyone. It's Jeff Keighley from the Game Awards. Get it? TGA.
I did not listen with headphones because I was scared to. Like it just sounds like whoever is behind that board doesn't know what they're doing. The volume is all over the place. Like if you just look at it as a waveform.
Yeah, Fingers was giving us screenshots of the waveforms
like,
earlier
look at
today.
this shit.
Right? Like you're sending us these giant images of look at the shape of it, and I'm like, dude, I don't understand this.
Well, this is what I'm passionate about. Like, this is like, I'm an audio person and like, I like to make things sound good. So when I hear stuff that sounds bad, it kind of fucks me up a little bit. You know, it's like when you see like a bad remake with awful new art, it's like, ooh, like it kind of hurts a little bit, you know?
I want to see this do well though.
And so that's a big pet peeve of mine is hearing like podcasts that, you know, or whatever that just record in low quality or just record the Zoom call. It's like, have a little pride, man. Figure out how to like layer 2 tracks together and record it. Like, it sucks.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
Sounds bad. Hated it. And I probably won't listen to it if it continues. That's the thing. Like, I want to listen, but fuck, that's a hard listen.
Yeah. Like I kind of want to learn Japanese just so I don't have to listen to the overdub.
Yeah, I'll just listen to that version and just kind of like play along with that. But currently, as is, it needs a lot of work, and it makes me sad, and it makes me feel like the whole world's falling apart when that's what's like. All right, this is the #1 Spotify podcast. It's just like yikes. That's bad.
The dub was an L. Well, I mean, it's the first episode. Hopefully it'll get better. Hopefully they'll look at the criticism and they'll adjust and try some different stuff. And hopefully they won't do this like real-time narration thing. Like I know they want Kojima to be, you know, a part of it, but he's not speaking English, so there's not really a function for his voice to be there. You know whose words are being spoken.
Yeah.
You don't need to hear him.
If he signs off on it, I'll take it on good authority that they're translating what he said. Like, do you know what I mean? Rather than listen to 2 voices over the top of
you
each
do
other.
want to hear like the inflection, but that's the other part too. Like we were saying earlier with that guy having the monotone voice, it's just like you've got like Kojima being all playful and
because he's translating in real time, yeah.
But that's the thing. It sounds like the guy's reading it for the first time. It's like, hey, maybe like read through it like a script and like get familiar with it and then be like,
yeah.
And then kind of play it up like a play and like, you know, rehearse. And I don't know, man. It all sounds like.
Instead of the monotone.
Yeah, it sounds like he's literally reading through it for the first time and trying to figure out and like time it with him. Like, and so he wraps up at the same time when he stops talking. And doing that is just making it so much harder to listen to because it's the same thing. And sometimes he must slow down to talk. And it sounds like a robot. He sounds like a robot more than brains.
He just kept talking in one long, incredibly unbroken sentence, moving from topic to topic so that no one had a chance to interrupt. It was really quite hypnotic.
I think Fingers is pissed off, right? Because
a little bit.
You know, after we're done recording, he spends 5 days ripping apart our voices from talking over each other, and like gets in on the tornado that we record, and they're just not doing it. So he feels fucking pissed off, man. And I don't blame him.
I don't blame him either. Yeah,
and like the top podcasts in the world aren't doing it. Like I've hit up so many podcasts, big like comedy podcasts, big just like all types of people that I'm like, hey, do you guys need some audio help? Because sounds like shit, and they're like, oh no, we're good. And, like. I'm just like, okay.
I mean, like, oh no, we're good. This is fun.
Yeah,
this is fun.
Like, I don't know, man. It's weird how acceptable bad audio is. Like, I don't know, and that's one thing. If I hear like a crackle or some weird thing in a line, I'm out. Like, like someone's voice can be annoying, and I'm out. Like, I'm just like, that's just hitting my eardrum a little weird. And I can't do it.
Yeah, I'm not even British. She just does that in editing.
Damn, I'm good.
In terms of content, though, like it's fine. You know, he talks about how he came up with Metal Gear, how it got started. He went into a little bit of Boktai. He talked even about the the casting for Snake and mentioned David Hayter. Which
hey, did you know that in Boktai you have to be in the sun, and if you're not in the sun when you're inside, you can't be in the sun, and if it's nighttime, you can't be in the sun because it's night and there's no sun. And vampires hate the sun.
This needs an editor.
That was part of it, dude. There was literally like 10 seconds of him saying that earlier.
If you play that game indoors, there's no sun, right? If you play during the night, there will be no sun as well. You need sunlight to defeat the vampires, so it needs to be played during the daytime, under the sun, or outside. When I tried to make this game, everyone was against the idea.
Wasn't there also like a break for a 25-minute show?
Yeah, there's like a mid-episode transition in a 25-minute. Like, okay, like I get it. Maybe this is just growing pains, and they really don't know what they want the show to be yet. And like, I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt. I'm gonna see it. You know, I'm gonna keep listening to it because I really do want to hear what he's gonna talk about.
Well, one thing I said earlier too, I think it's like this sounds like too many producers in the room.
Yeah, too many cooks. Yeah.
Where it's like, all right, wouldn't it be cool if we did this and we had this little sizzle and yeah, put some fucking silent poets in there and like, no. And then we'll have this guy say, hey, can I do it? Can I be the one that goes, the Kojima? You know, like it sounds like there's way too many cooks in the kitchen.
Put a robot in.
It reminds me of that meme that's like a rock station intro that's like, you're listening to 104. Rock the rock, and then it's like dead silence, and then fucking Imagine Dragons plays.
Oh yes, you're giving me an excuse to make one of those radio imaging bumps.
Only real rock.
You're now listening to TKF, the Kojima Frequency, real Metal Gear podcasting, where we play nothing but Metal Gear Solid, Death Stranding, Snatcher, and sometimes Police Knots. Maybe Boktai. Metal Gear. This ain't your granny's Metal Gear podcast.
I mean, I've been wanting him to do a new podcast for a long time, so I really just
Not
hope
like
that things
this.
are growing.
Not like this.
Like, dude, I used to listen religiously to the Kojima Productions report, like that, where like I get that they had like the Japanese side where he would be more active and he would talk, and they had like his own podcast, and he's done like several over the years. But then on like the English side, it would be just like either Ryan Payton or Sean Istone or Ken or Aki Saito or any of these guys, and they would just talk. They would talk shop, right?
Mm-hmm.
They would just talk about the dev, stuff going on. They would just like talk about their experiences, what was going on in their lives and in other areas, and what was inspiring them and what was going on. Like not just with Kojima, but everything about the company and game development and what was going into it, you know, in terms of like what was informing their ideas and the things they were in. Like it was really interesting stuff. Like do that, you know, like or at least maybe put some of that in. You know, like I like the idea of having Kojima just talk about stuff and getting it straight from him. Like I like that unfiltered, you know, source idea, but I can't listen to that overdub. I can't do it.
And this also, like, I guess with it being the first episode too, like it very much seemed like this is for someone who's never heard of Kojima before. You know, it's like here's an introduction to the man known as Hideo Kojima. Have you ever heard of a video game? Video games are, you know, it's like an introductory.
You're channeling
course, so
Tim Rogers right now with that. Like,
oh God. But, yeah.
Welcome back to video games.
I don't know.
Like. No, like really, who is the audience for this? Either, like, there's really very little middle ground with Kojima fans. Either you have never heard of this guy, or you know everything about this guy, right? Yeah. Like, who is this marketed towards? The undecided Kojima fans?
They're still trying to figure out if they like Death Stranding.
We'll see where it goes, and like, I don't know, apparently from the teaser or whatever, they're going to be talking about the movie Nope on the next episode. And I haven't seen that
I'm
yet,
actually looking forward to
he's been really excited about that one. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So like, it's going to get into like cool subjects and stuff. Like I'm looking forward to it. I just hope they figure out their audio shit before then so I can actually listen to it without having a goddamn brain aneurysm. Like I don't know.
Can you edit this so that we sound at least 30% less mean about this?
I'll like pitch our voices up so we'll sound like chipmunks, and that might make us sound a little happier, but other than that.
There we go. Yeah, we'll just start sucking helium the next time we complain.
Cool.
There was some good parts though, like we said. Like, you know, I don't want to like completely shit on it. There was some good parts.
I mean, I enjoyed like what I heard so far. Like you said, it seemed like it was a quick intro. The fact that he acknowledged David Hayter, which actually is a relief for us in many different ways that we cannot disclose right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, like as soon as you even said that they're going to talk about Nope, like that's the shit that hypes me because I would love. Red Letter Media covered Nope. I loved watching them talk about it. I could watch more people talk about Nope. The fact that Kojima's talking about it, even better. But please, God, change the voice.
That's all we want.
Yeah, it is cool hearing Kojima talk about Hater too, because like,
Yeah,
it's. I mean, like, have they really even like talked about each other or mentioned anything since MGSV? Really? I mean, that's where it kind of felt
Not
like
really.
the bad blood kind of, or you know, just
Yeah.
like bad taste in the mouth, kind of like. I'm sure they got respect for each other, but
and hopefully that's not the case anymore. Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I guess 7 years is long enough to, you know, kind of let some shit kind of
Let it go.
fade away. But
Yeah, which on that note, that tweet, did you see where he said because of MGSV's release anniversary, he said it's been 7 years. I think he said I miss everything.
yeah,
It was just really sad.
yeah.
It's like, oh, he does miss Metal Gear a little bit.
I wonder if he called David that day and just like called Hater and was like, "Hey man,
It's like, I'm sorry.
I miss you, dude. Like, let's
It would be cool if
Yeah.
they started working together again. I would like to see that.
yeah, like, I mean, not Metal Gear related at all, just like complete like
No.
separate IP,
New stuff.
but just like them working together in some capacity would be cool.
In any capacity, if they were doing something together, that would be really cool. I agree.
And it would be such like a character growth for, because like, you know, we've kind of always had, or I've always been under the impression, you know, Kojima got a little bit of jealousy with David, like just the whole like spotlight, you know, being the rock star kind of thing, where he kind of wanted to be the face of Metal Gear, and there was a little bit of, you know, like a tug of war kind of thing with like ego there. But it'd be kind of a cool like sign of growth to see them like both work on something, and you know, David, you know, with his like storytelling and his editing and stuff, and be like, hey, let's, you know, change this around to that, and then be like, hey, good idea. Like, I don't know, that'd be awesome for him to like be able to put his ego away, because that's what it seems like was kind of in the way there.
Trinkle in a little bit of Jeremy Blaustein, maybe?
Yeah,
That would be great. I would love to see collaborations with older team members. I mean, look, the whole idea behind Death Stranding is building bridges, right? So,
Yeah,
you know, be the example you're trying to set, right?
yeah, and that's like, I hate that there's that weird, you know, that gap between those two, but like I also kind of get it. Like it's, you know, it's like a weird rivalry that I kind of like understand how both they could have, the way that he did the MGSV like casting Kiefer and not even hitting him up, you know, that was like, so wait, I'm not, so y'all don't need me for this one, like at all, like, oh, okay, shit, I'm gonna go drink now, like.
I'm rewatching 24 at the moment, and I was really worried that when I went back to watch 24, that I would just hear Snake the entire time. But no, I never stopped hearing Jack Bauer when playing fucking MGSV.
Yeah.
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 No, I love 24. And like,
Yeah.
yeah, I liked Kiefer as Snake. It's just, it's the way that business side of things went down, of him just like not getting a call versus like them reaching out being like, hey man, just want to let you know we're doing something different with Snake here. We're gonna be using a different character, and you know, just, and that's totally within their rights not to do that call, but it's just like a professional courtesy almost at that point.
I would have told him the entire story and just said, listen, we're doing this because we're doing this with the story. Don't tell anyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
I think he deserved that.
you're more than welcome to do what Konami did, but we're also within our right to say you guys fucking dropped the ball there. I mean, we've been saying that this whole podcast, right? And I remember, and I think we're going to kind of discuss this a little more. It's one of our topic points today, but I remember during that like golden period of hyping up for MGS5, you know, despite all the controversies with David Hayter and Konami, I remember one thing that everybody theorized was that, oh, well, they're saying David Hayter's not in the game because he's going to show up at the end of Solid Snake, and then it's going to be Big Boss voiced by Kiefer fighting Snake. You know, and you know, technically we did get a glimpse of Outer Heaven in MG1, but it wasn't what we expected. Well, it was what we expected, because during that period, people found out the twist immediately.
Yeah. You know what, the whole recast thing and how that was that sort of went down, it reminds me of an anecdote that Michael Crichton shared once when he was still working on the TV show ER, because that was his idea, right? That was his concept. and they developed it out. And so for the first season of that show, he was sitting in on the writer's room and contributing. And on the second season of the show, you know, he was still there, still contributing, but obviously they were taking less of his ideas. And he said that by like the third season, he showed up to the writer's room and the writers were looking at him like, what are you doing here? And he was like, oh, yeah, this isn't really mine anymore. And he just stopped showing up. And that's sort of like, you know, Hollywood just sort of, you know, as these productions get bigger and bigger, and the production value shoots up, they become, I guess you could say, less personal.
Yeah.
In a sense, the production becomes less personal because it has to. It's far more business oriented. And like Metal Gear Solid 1, that's still like Wild West game development, you know? Even MGS2 and 3 were a little bit of that, but as you get further away into the newer consoles and things get, you know, the production becomes so much more complicated and sophisticated and expensive, and they're like doing audio at Skywalker Ranch and working with Logan and all these other, you know, design firms and studios, and they're outsourcing work, and the team balloons from like 30 to 70 to over 100, like the entire attitude and like aura around that changes, and it stops becoming like just people, like it's the difference between people shaking on a deal and there being these just tons of red tape, right?
That's one thing. I went and watched that ILM documentary that's on Disney Plus right now, and David Hayter actually was in that Spaces the other day that Shaine was doing, and he had suggested, you know, people check that out and I watched the first 3 episodes of it, and it really showed how that first crew of guys at ILM like really nailed like figuring it out and going like, okay, here's a problem, like there's no way to like solve this yet. Okay, we're just going to invent a new way to solve this. Like just their problem solving and like their passion for it was so cool, and to see like the links that they would go to get some of those shots and how they figured it out was just like, holy shit, these guys like
early Jim Henson, George Lucas, like early days.
Yeah, I mean the Star Wars and, you know, Empire days and all that, and where they're figuring out all the matte paintings and all the Ralph McQuarrie stuff, and you know, so cool. But then they said by the time that they got to Return of the Jedi, like it was so corporate, and it was so like, you know, the speed at which they needed to get all those shots done and all the effects shots that they had to get done, it was like it wasn't fun anymore at that point because it had gotten that takeover. And I'm seeing that now, you know, kind of reflect that same type of energy of just like creatives versus studio, you know, heads and executives coming in and rushing shit along, and you know, deadlines and budget.
It's very clinical, very sterile.
Yeah. Yes. It's also kind of very reminiscent, which kind of hokens into Avi Arad and him in Marvel, but it reminds me of a lot of the criticism that I see about Marvel shows, and that it's almost become like a factory where they churn out these products, and there's less of a personal element to it. Not that, you know, Marvel was the most personal thing ever, but there are people that are saying, hey, you know, She-Hulk doesn't really look as good as she probably could. Is that because, you know, they're making these animators just constantly churn out content and it's like a factory?
I have heard that Marvel will basically look at a bunch of different CG studios and say who can do this for the least amount of money in this amount of time, and then they'll go for whoever does it. That's why there's such a wide range of quality between different projects, even on TV, like even if it's just like a show versus a movie. Like, there's no consistency to it. But, you know, like you said, you go back to ILM during that, like, Phil Tippett generation and how they handled things, and they really, really cared about their craft. Mm-hmm. I mean, I know you know, you're right that, like, Return of the Jedi is definitely when things started to get more corporate, but even through, like, Jurassic Park, that generation was still there, still doing their best work, trying to make things that they cared about, and they were putting passion into it. Like the spark was still there, even if it was starting to be suppressed.
I thought it was shout out Phil Tippett, man. He's in that documentary, and he speaks a lot in it.
Oh, dude, Phil Tippett's a legend.
Yeah, definitely check that documentary. I'd highly recommend it. But he was saying too, like when he gets in that creative mode, and like, you know, he was always kind of anxious and dealt with a lot of depression and stuff, but just like when he got his hands in that and he got focused and got in the zone, like all that stuff just kind of went away.
Yeah.
You know, and like I don't know, it was really cool to just hear how like that creation like really drove a lot of his stuff, and he was like, yeah, that pretty much like saved my life, just creating stuff, you know.
He I don't know if you've seen it yet. I haven't had the time to watch it yet, but he recently came out with a film, and it's sort of like it's his life's work. It's called Mad God. Have you heard of this?
No.
It's like a stop motion sort of avant-garde horror stop motion film. It's really interesting looking. Like, look this thing up. It's something else. There's like really nothing like it. And I really want to sit down and watch. Like, just the trailer, you'll be sold. But I want to sit down and watch this thing just because it's like Phil Tippett's passion project. Like, he spent 30 years working on this thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks incredible. It's one of those. That's one of those movies I would like to hear Kojima talk about. You know.
Yeah.
I want to hear him talk less about modern movies and more about old movies again. Because I think a lot of Kojima's more interesting work was inspired by older films that were from that, you know, the Phil Tippett generation, if we're going to call it that, where there was still that artisanship to it, that there's really, it's not there anymore. Everything's so heavily overproduced now that it doesn't have the same, it doesn't really have a spirit to it.
It's funny. I do see that he's on the Mad God, I guess, like promotion right now. But it's a picture of him with Guillermo del Toro. You know, and Kojima had retweeted that I think today. But
did he?
Yeah, and it's just Guillermo.
Oh, that's cool.
Saying like Phil Tippett, a master, a teacher, a titan. So it's just like I don't know. That's just all these like legends of film. You know, just real, recognizing real.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I'm so. I guess. Let me kind of swing it around to this, which is sort of how I'm seeing movies nowadays, and it's kind of depressing to me, is that, like, obviously, if you're going to go see a Jurassic Park film today or a Marvel film, you're not really expecting, like, high cinema. You know, these aren't art house films. These aren't, like, I really do think Martin Scorsese sort of hit the nail on the head when he said that they're kind of equivalent to amusement park rides.
Mm-hmm.
Which, again, there's nothing necessarily wrong with that, but that's what they are. They're pop entertainment. But there is definitely a difference between the pop entertainment of today and the pop entertainment of like the 80s and the early 90s. If you go and I am a huge Jurassic Park fan, and I have suffered through this new trilogy. I can't. It's been something. If you go and watch Jurassic World Dominion and just see how much of a cartoon that is, okay? And then go back immediately and watch the original Jurassic Park. It is the contrast in style, in tone, it will give you whiplash. It's so dramatic.
Wasn't that kind of like a problem with sequels too? Like you just have to keep escalating it and go, like, where can we go from here and how do we top it from that? You know, it's
but a lot of films are like that now. It's not just Jurassic Park.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying it's a good thing. I'm just like that's an inherent thing with sequels. It's like, well, we got to top what we did last time and make it even better.
Yeah.
Like Fast and the Furious. It's like, all right, we're driving cars on the goddamn moon, I guess, next time. Like, have they done that yet? I don't know, but.
I don't know. I stopped watching.
Okay.
But like it's not necessarily the issue of sequels. It's just the approach to movie making where it's this sort of sterile, overproduced, made by committee sort of thing. And the only like interesting films
like
you get,
brain structure. What?
Yeah. I said yeah as a knee jerk. That's not fair. That's not fair. You cheated me. You tricked me. It's the only interesting stuff coming out nowadays in games and in movies is the more auteur stuff. You know, it's the individual, like you've got a singular or smaller collection of voices driving it rather than this large group that's deciding like, okay, how many focus groups do we have to market this towards, right?
Yeah.
Like that's really what's destroying it in part. And also like people are watching these movies that have been designed by committees and they think that's how you're supposed to do it. They think the writing style is good. You know? Like, how many movies have you heard the term shitbird in?
That's a good question.
I don't think Many?
A lot. I've heard it in so many shows and movies. That's like the modern writer's favorite word. This is just like one nitpick. Okay, whatever. But like,
isn't that in like Trailer Park Boys?
It's in everything, dude. I don't know. It's everywhere now. I hear it everywhere.
Well, it's shit everything with him. Never mind, that's what it was.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why bother with a couple shit sticks when you can have the whole shit trawler, Mr. Leahy?
Nice shit analogy, Rick.
There's a guy on YouTube I watch he's like 60 and he used to work in Hollywood. He says the reason the writing is so bad now is because they're hiring a bunch of people straight out of college in LA who have like no real world experience, and
that's a big part of it too.
And they all think they're amazing writers, and they're all patting each other on the back saying how great they are, but no one outside of LA really cares what they have to say on anything, and they have no real world experience.
It's almost like they're talking like they're on the internet.
Yeah,
like, you know what I mean? It's God, and that's one thing I really hate. Like when you're talking to someone and they'll like say LOL or something, and you're like, whoa, hold on,
Yeah.
we're not on the internet right now. Like, yeah, it's like chill out.
It's actually somehow more annoying than the last phase of this, where everyone was copying how Joss Whedon wrote dialogue.
Ugh.
Yeah,
As somebody who watched every episode of Buffy and Angel, just ugh.
Yeah.
I wish too hard for that shit.
Except now it's internet speak.
But going back to Metal Gear Solid 5, like we had 2 anniversaries this week. Well, like kind of in that same time frame, but it was Metal Gear Solid 1, as well as MGS 5. You mentioned it was the 7th anniversary. And it's interesting because like I was 8 years old when MGS 1 came out. I didn't know about it until the PlayStation demo disc, Lulu demo disc. So I didn't get to really... And if there was any sort of major hype train going for MGS 1 in 1997, 1998, I completely missed it.
God bless that demo disc.
Whereas with 5, like, I mean, Fingers, you and I both were like deep into that shit back in the day. Like it was huge. Whereas like, and then like we were talking about it, and then Nitroid kind of brings up like his own experience because he kind of had that same experience with MGS 2 and 1 and 2. So I thought it was an interesting juxtaposition.
It is weird to look at. There wasn't really a huge hype train around MGS1, though it definitely had a lot of marketing and a lot of magazines were talking about it. It was impressing people on its own merits, you know? People were seeing the trailer, they were seeing the screenshots, there was nothing on the PS1 remotely this sophisticated, and everyone was going like, whoa, what is this? And, you know, it was mostly unknown to the US market, you know, sans a sort of small contingency of fans who played the NES version and had access to that and recognized the names. But, like, there was a community of Metal Gear fans at the time that just was sort of very niche, just very grassroots, early and small. But MGS1 didn't really have the whole big hype train around it, and hype trains weren't really a thing in the same way.
That's a whole nother element in itself, right? Is that, you know, how far could you have a hype train with like dial-up internet?
You had the cover of GamePro and like EGM.
Yeah, exactly.
It was like how many game magazine companies can you consider to get on the cover?
Yes,
like,
that was our metric.
That was the hype train.
Yeah.
Was how many magazine covers and did it have a commercial that you actually saw on TV?
Yeah.
But Metal Gear Solid 2. Now, that was different. That was really the MGSV hype train is the only comparable release to that. It was like that. When they first showed off that trailer for MGS2, I mean, PC developers were going to Kojima and being like, "How did you do this? Like, how did not just how did you do this, but how did you do it on a PS2?
Yeah,
like we're working on PC, we can't do this stuff. What did you do? Like which demon did you make a deal with in order to make this thing? Right?
I'm already a demon."
It was so huge that like every magazine was covering it, even non-gaming magazines. It got Kojima in Newsweek. They were talking about it on the news. It was You could get the trailer on VHS. They would have it in rental stores so you could watch it. I kid you not. It was insane. Like and like gaming magazines at the time were constantly trying to milk this because like every issue had like, if it didn't have MGS2 on the cover, it had something about it. Like either on the front like cover, like written down, like, and more details. Like we found out some new things about Metal Gear Solid 2 because they asked Kojima like how long is it? Right? Like it's some tiny question, but they did everybody was trying to milk how much interest there was in MGS2. It was insane. And then, the review cycle hits and everyone's trying to hide the spoilers and all that. And it was just, there was tons of like merchandise announcements and they were saying like, McFarlane's going to do the figures for this like he did with MGS1. Like MGS1 wasn't, this huge thing until after it came out, but MGS2 was huge from like moment one.
Yeah.
And just for the next 2 years, it was just nonstop. So yeah, like MGSV, I didn't really let myself get too dragged into that hype train. I mean, well, I kind of did, but
not to our extent.
I am literally in a Konami promo video for that game, so I probably shouldn't say that. But that's the closest thing to MGSV is probably the MGS2 release. MGS4 was pretty big too, but like after people got kind of soured from the bait and switch in MGS2, the response to like MGS3's announcement and release wasn't quite as strong, even though, everybody kind of looks at MGS3 and that's like everyone's favorite now, That's probably the most liked game of the series is 3. Like if you could collect every single Metal Gear fan and you took a poll over which one everyone thought was their favorite, 3 would probably win that.
I think no one hates 3. No, like even if it's not your favorite, no one like has super strong hateful feelings towards it.
Right. And that was, I think, there were conversations in the fandom at the time about that being sort of by design, is that it was sort of backpedaling from how extreme MGS2 was in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
It was a safer Metal Gear. It was returning to sort of a more simple, straightforward story. It wasn't, a lot of people thought MGS2 was very preachy and everyone thinks it's brilliant now, but when it came out, believe me, a lot of people did not think it was that great. But yeah, like even through 3, when they got to 4, there was still a bit of that negativity sort of lingering, where people were still sort of lukewarm to Metal Gear Solid because of getting burned with 2. 4 comes along and is promising to answer everything about 2, so that definitely got sort of the ball rolling again. But yeah, it wasn't anything compared to what V was.
Yeah.
Like, jeez.
See, this is like where I feel like being online, like during those times, like, I used the internet for like walkthroughs and looking up cheat codes and stuff. But like, as far as like going into forums and like discussing stuff with people and getting hype, like, and doing all that, like, I didn't do any of that shit, like, until way later.
Yeah. Like
I did.
I ran a forum, but it was for RuneScape.
I used forums if I needed help with a specific thing. I would go in and get my answer and then dip out and be like, cool, I'm not going to sit here and like have a chat when I don't know if people are even going to come back to it. Like that just, I don't know.
I do remember like BCC forums. I do remember like being part of those and having discussions, but it wasn't to the same intensity that like fandoms kind of do it.
Yeah.
I would get into like, you would go to the sites and then they would have like the rings, like you would go through like what are those called? Yeah, like it was like fan rings. So like it would like, you'd be in like a cycle of sites pretty much. And like, so there was that side of it, but still there
was Usenet.
Yeah.
Like all sorts of different
all the GeoCities type things,
people.
MIRC chat channels, all that shit. Sure.
Yep.
But I didn't get into like the Metal Gear community until way later, like after I had played through MGS4, and I was like playing through Peace Walker. That's when I started being admin on Solid Snake. And, I had gotten pretty familiar with the series. So like, I don't know. I played through MGS1 and 2 and 3 and was just like, fuck yeah, all good games. Didn't have a bad time with any of it. Like, and then everybody's like this negativity of MGS2 and all the backlash. I was like,
Yeah.
Raiden controls the exact same as Solid Snake. Like, who gives a shit? Y'all are stupid. You know, like, I just literally didn't mind it. You know, I was like, okay, it's fine.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's so weird now in hindsight because I tell people nowadays that Metal Gear Solid 2 was sort of hated by the fandom when it came out for a very long time, and they think I'm lying. But I'll tell you what the interesting contrast is between 2 and V. Mm-hmm. With Metal Gear Solid 2 and the hype train there, it was very much sort of happening at the birth of the modern internet. You know, like the internet had been around for a bit, but it was very infantile, and it was something that not a lot of people were using regularly. Yeah, it was still very much like a toy.
I remember MGS2 came out. I was using Kazaa, like, you know, like it was pre-LimeWire. You know, it was like it was those times.
That
I
stuff
remember.
was. Yeah, that was the era when things that we sort of take for granted now and consider normal were just starting to rise up. Mm-hmm. But V had its hype train in the like fully aged and matured, insane internet.
And I'm gonna say it.
You know what? I'm about to say it.
Say it.
MGSV had the best lead up to a video game of all time.
And that's the bottom line, because Stone Cold said so.
Wrath of the Lich King.
It's just so different, you know, how it was, because like the lead up to MGS2, there was a lot more measured. There were definitely conspiracy theories and stuff, but it wasn't like V was, like nothing even close to that. But then again, we didn't really have, you know, YouTube like you know it, like how you know it, you know?
Well, I mean, we were analyzing trailers frame by frame, having like, you know, then he would drop a new trailer, and then you've got.
So were we.
I'm like, I don't know if I want to really admit this in public or not, but I ran a Metal Gear Tumblr that had like, I try to give every fucking thing from those trailers and break it down.
That was how me and you pretty much met, and like, I would do the same shit. It would be like pretty much like off to the races when a new trailer would come out. We'd be like gifting different shit and like making little gift sets of stuff. Like, look how cool this looks. And like, oh, who's that?
Shit posts. I remember all the cocaine shit posts with the trailer of we won't with the ashes in his face.
Yeah, I mean, so many memes, all the fiddle shit. Once Ground Zeroes hit, you know, it was just like
quiet as Chico.
Quiet as Chico.
Geez.
Wow,
remember that?
Yep.
That is the key, though. That's the major difference. Is that there wasn't a meme culture, but there was an internet.
Yeah.
When MGS2's hype train was happening, so there wasn't. It was a little more. I hate to say that it was more measured because, you know, people were still dissecting it and you know, going through frame by frame and having these theories that were crazy.
It's just in smaller circles and in smaller bubbles, like, you know, like little smaller communities.
Not really. It was a different attitude. It didn't feel like you were. Let me put it like this. Imagine a conversation with a person who's standing in front of you versus a conversation with a person on Twitter. You know, and how, like, there's a big gap between talking to someone online and talking to someone in person, right?
You're saying we used to talk, like, more in person, like, back then on the internet?
Yeah, we hadn't gotten out of that phase yet, where it still felt like, you know, people were definitely being, you know, jerks and stuff, but it still felt like you were having normal conversations. It wasn't like it is now, where it's almost like half of the conversations are like parodies of conversations.
Yeah.
You know?
There is so much irony injected into everything. You're just like, oh man, I don't know heads or tails from that. Yeah.
We hadn't got there yet.
I don't know what you're talking about.
We hadn't reached the post-irony phase of the circle yet. Yeah, no, V was crazy. I wonder if there's ever going to be a hype train like that again.
No.
Not in my lifetime.
You don't think so?
I mean, that's like, we were literally like, is that Solid Snake sitting next to Liquid Snake in the helicopter? Like, there's two twins there.
Right?
Like, holy shit, what's happening?
Everybody.
All the music, too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, when fucking Mike Oldfield Nuclear, you heard that the first time?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Then I made a fucking electro remix out of it with Min Torment. Turned it into a club banger. And I was like, this is a sad song. How did you turn this into a club song?
Well, I mean, if we want to talk about songs that you brought out that blew up during MGS5, I mean, we have to bring up the obvious.
Yeah. Good old fiddle remix.
Gosh.
Pretty much everybody goes, oh yeah, your fingers, you're that fiddle guy, right? I'm like, yeah.
Good job. You're a legend.
I told you, the real me is no match for the legend.
Dude, the only thing I can think of from MGS2 that might have caused that same level of insanity in terms of response from people was the third trailer for MGS2, like the very last one before they sort of released the game. If I'm remembering right. Because at the very end, it shows that shot of Solidus holding the swords, and he's got the visor over his mouth, and it like clicks away after he beats up the Rays. And you see him, and so you don't have the context for this. We don't know who Solidus is. We don't know what he looks like. And you see this guy with an eye patch in this armor who's the spitting image of Big Boss, and it's like, holy
Mecha Big Boss,
shit,
like...
he's alive! Yeah, like... And for like a short period of time, everybody was going crazy until somebody pointed out that it was the wrong eye, and then arguments started about the old NES or MSX booklet and blah 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 blah. But like that's the only thing I can think of that was even remotely close to like some of the details that people would obsess about with V.
It'd be funny, like the Snake's Revenge, like the whole like going into that whole thing with God, who was it that said like Big Boss was like a cyborg, whatever?
Oh yeah,
yeah.
God. Like, I mean, it's interesting to think about these ones because the other like hype cycles around the games definitely existed, but not like they're kind of like lost to history. If you were there, you might remember them, but there's really not a lot of evidence of them. So like 3 was sort of tepid. You know, people were excited, and the trailer was actually leaked in advance of the official reveal. And so people were making guesses that this was Big Boss and not Solid Snake, and some people were like, "No, he's time traveling," and I'm not even kidding. But it wasn't anywhere near what MGS2 was because a lot of people were soured. And then 4 comes along, and that was a big one. Not as big as 2 or V, but real close. Because it was like, yeah, this is going to be the one that explains everything. We're finally going to get our answers.
Yeah.
And the game looks amazing, and it's got all these new things, and we got a new Metal Gear Online, and it's on the PS3, the world's most powerful video game console, and it's gonna be amazing. And like, yeah, then we got all our answers, and everybody stopped talking, and the fan site died.
I mean, that's another thing too. Like coming into MGS4, I didn't have a PS3 for a while, so I was kind of late on playing it. Like came into it, was like, all right, another good Metal Gear game, and like enjoyed it. I don't know, walked away from it like
I'm
satisfied.
Glad.
That's
know what? I mean, I'm happy for you.
Yeah.
I'm glad you enjoyed Metal Gear Solid 4. I can say that.
I met my first like serious girlfriend because of Metal Gear Solid 4.
Aw. Serious?
Yeah, for real.
That's awesome. Yeah, I hope we get something like that again. Maybe if Konami makes another Metal Gear game, maybe if Kojima gets roped back in. I mean, he says he misses it. Like, you never know. Things happen.
I think we could get some modicum, like maybe a little taste of that if like our hypothetical David Hayter, Jeremy Blaustein, Kojima game happens.
Yeah.
The dream team.
I mean, they definitely tried to like build up a huge hype train for Death Stranding, and there was a lot of excitement there among Kojima fans. Unfortunately, a lot of them thought Death Stranding was secretly a Metal Gear / Silent Hill title. But there was definitely a lot of that still there. I mean, he knows how to build hype. That man, has a talent for it.
Yeah.
I would love to see him talk about that on his podcast. Just sort of like what inspires him or what his thought process is sort of going through, like why he decided to curate the experience from the first trailer till you see the end credits.
Like you're like, right. Yeah. You're playing the game from the moment that it's announced. And that's what's awesome. Unfortunately, it also occasionally drives people crazy. I would love to know what he thinks of sort of the conspiracy wing of his fan base, Like, he's got to be aware of how crazy the theories are, and he definitely plays into them and takes advantage of it.
For market.
But, like, there is a subsection of the fan base that is downright religious about this.
I just imagine him just being like, nah, they're overtaking it.
Like he took 2 breaths instead of 3 in that clip. That means something. Like seriously, they will draw associations between the most unrelated stuff to try and, you know, connect things that are totally unrelated. And when you try to pin them down on what exactly it is they think is being suggested, they're just like, you'll just have to wait and see. You don't get it. Like, no, I don't get it because there's nothing to get.
Yeah, it's kind of why he posts tweets with fucking clocks at different times. And
Yeah,
stuff, 'cause
exactly.
He loves fucking with them.
Yeah, it's nonsense. You know, it's like anti-hype. It's weird. I don't know what to call it.
Red herrings, just like throwing you for a loop and shit too on everything. Yeah.
People practicing grand unified Kojima theory.
It's strand theory.
Strand theory.
I think we're at like DEFCON 3 right now for Kojima right now, aren't we? Like
Oh Lord.
he's gonna be coming to TGS. I mean, that's shit.
I thought they were
next
only
week.
showing merch.
I
didn't
know.
think they were actually. You think they got something to show? I like that they showed the
He's got tickets. Like he's gonna be there, so that's a level 3 automatic. Like that's DEFCON 3. He's gonna be there.
Yeah, but he's selling like Cryptobiote plushies.
I know. That's what I'm saying. It could go to 2.
I kind of want
it could, but right now we're at a 3. So just stay frosty.
I'm probably gonna get one.
Yeah, I'll buy one of those.
We really need to make like a t-shirt
with the levels.
Another Kojima Frequency merchandise. Yeah, with the levels.
Great idea.
The Kojima DEFCON. Oh man, yeah, we're gonna do that.
Great idea.
I mean,
or like
look,
a print poster. I don't know.
Yeah.
While we're on the subject, like, do you want to talk about a bit about where we're sort of taking the show? Because I know there's not a whole lot going on right now. We're sort of in between announcements, in between games, in between news cycles. It's like we're in a void right now.
We're all just waiting for that Metal Gear Solid 3 remake.
Shut up.
And on a personal perspective, we've been kind of in between guests in a sense that there have just been like so many scheduling conflicts. It's the summer as we're transitioning to fall. And it's like herding cats, if you will. And that's nothing against anybody else. It's just
the people are awesome.
It's been hard for us to plan amongst each other. Yeah.
I mean, hopefully our next guest won't keep us waiting. But huh?
What?
Nothing. All right, so
yeah, I mean, do we want to dig? How much of the plans do we want to dig into here? Because I know we listed a few.
The guests are a little hard to talk about because, like you said, it's like we don't want to promise that we're going to have a guest on unless it's in stone and done, because things can go wrong all the way up to the moment of recording.
Sure.
Yeah, it's really why we don't, right? Because like if we told you who was coming on, you would have been disappointed multiple times up to this point, because we've just had things change like very quickly.
Yeah, we've had to reschedule 3 different guests now and cancel one of them.
On a more positive note, however, we are trying to extend the business into other forays, not trying to sell out, but more so like looking at the con circuit.
Timeshares.
No. Get a timeshare in outer heaven.
Yeah, conventions for sure. Yeah.
I mean, I'm really quite emotional about this, right? I'm from England. I've never met these guys. We record every single week. Fucking love you guys. We don't record every week. It feels like every week, but we record every 2 weeks.
We talk all day, every week.
We talk all day.
Much.
I play Final Fantasy 14 like way too. I'm literally sitting beside Apache in our FC strip club, idling while recording this.
Me and Apache will be like working on like fucking music stuff together. I was like showing him some music production like past midnight stuff last night, and we're just we all do this like hanging out and stuff. But yeah, we haven't had a meetup in person, and so that's why I think we're all trying to like centralize in one location coming up here soon, and we're gonna try to make it to MagFest next year together, and we're gonna try to pull off a panel, and so that's the goal. If it happens, if we get accepted for the panel, who knows? But, more details will be coming out on that soon. It'll be a Hideo Kojima panel, featuring the Kojima Frequency. So,
should I read the description?
We've had like one meeting on it, and we've spoke about it in a chat a little bit, and it already sounds like really good. It'll be so good if it gets accepted.
We've got some awesome ideas and some funny shit lined up, and
it's not gonna be your typical panel. Like, if you've ever been to a convention that's had a Metal Gear or Kojima panel, you kind of know what to expect, and they're good. But you can only talk about the same thing so many times, and so I've seen I'll give you an example of somebody who tries to mix it up. A friend of the show, Token Flip Guy, he does a lot of Kojima and Metal Gear panels at different cons, and he always tries to do unique things to keep it going. And we sort of want to do something unique as well, but like I don't know if we can really get into exactly what
we don't want to
give the game away.
We don't want to give the game away, but it won't be like
don't give any of it away.
Before. It won't be like it won't be like any you've seen before. It'll be really.
We'll see y'all at MagFest 2023.
Yeah, and if you can't make it, we'll get it on video.
It will be streamed.
I don't want to jinx this by saying too much, but we are going to put the application in. Apache is going to try to work and get into MagFast, the speedrunning section or event that they have at the convention, and I mean, regardless of either of those get in, I can guarantee you Apache and I are going to go.
Yeah, minimum.
So.
Yeah, it's. I mean, if Apache can make it all the way across the puddle, I mean, I can make it from the Midwest.
Yeah, it's not too far of a drive for me too. So that's the plan.
It's about 10 hours for me.
We'll see if it works out, but hopefully it does.
I think we can do it.
Yeah.
You know, we were talking about TGS just a little bit ago, and Konami's got something going on there.
Yeah, they've got one of the bigger booths there. Kojima's gonna have a table. I didn't see the size of that or anything, but you know, and I'm not exactly expecting anything really. I mean, you know, besides DEFCON 3 level, just him there with merch. If we get a new trailer or something.
Konami though.
I know, and then
Konami supposedly has got this. What is it? They've got a game from a series beloved around the world, I think is what they said.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And they've got a voice actor hyping it, who may or may not be actually, you know, someone who performs in this series.
That's what they're saying, that he was like a fan representative, like he wasn't necessarily like, hey, this is my project that I'm working on. But yeah, it's kind of a weird.
Can we take guesses right now on what it is?
I mean, well, sure. Days, you were saying about the copyright thing, right?
Oh yeah, somebody found some update of this. I can't pronounce
Suikoden.
Suikoden.
Yeah.
Somebody found that Konami updated the IP for that, and I think that actor in particular had a role in that series too. So that's where I'm putting my bets. So, but you know, IP refreshes or whatever you want to call it. I mean, that we've had those headlines before where so and so refreshes IP and then nothing comes out of it.
It's funny that if it does end up being Suikoden, it's really interesting timing given how Ayuden Chronicle is right around the corner, which is sort of the indie spiritual successor made by the original team members that left. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of interesting, and I wonder if that's if it was intentional or if it's just convenient timing. I mean, I would love for this to be Metal Gear. It's most likely not going to be Metal Gear.
I think it's Pez. I think it's Pro Evo.
It is beloved around the world.
Beloved IP, it really is.
You know what?
We fixed it this time.
You know what? Britain needs that right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first two Suikoden games were fucking great RPGs. Like, I didn't care for 3 that much, and 4 and 5 are notoriously just not good, but the first 2 are just like classic JRPGs. You had the full scale battles that you could do that were like kind of tactics. Like
you can collect like hundreds of characters, right?
Yeah,
it's 108 characters in each game that you can collect and be, and they're all all have different moves and sets, and that's after the 108 that all like folklore.
It's I wonder if it. Okay, let's presume for a second that it is Suikoden. Do you think it would be internally developed by Konami, or would it be another outsourced project? Because
outsourced.
Konami's in-house stuff has been a little questionable, let's say, but some of their licensed stuff lately has been insane.
Yeah.
And how good it is. Like, fingers
like the
take it away.
Cowabunga collection.
Yeah, you've been the evangelist for this thing.
Yeah.
And I completely understand why.
I mean, yeah, I was showing you last night, like just the extras alone in that game are incredible, and it's
like what all's in it?
And
like
I'll tell you what's in it. Metal Gear's in it.
That's right. Metal Gear is in the Cowabunga collection, which is very
Konami
funny.
actually put Metal Gear content out in 2022, and it's in the Cowabunga collection. But yeah, they have like old game ads, like just magazine ads, promo, the box shots, instruction manuals.
It's like the document of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
It really is the document of TMNT. Yeah.
I was never really into Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles.
Shut! I knew you were gonna. I knew you were gonna say that at some point.
I'll allow it. Another cool thing is like, yeah, you can switch region on it, and like you can go in and play the different, British version, the Japanese version, whatever.
I gotta admit that I didn't know that until I was on Metal Gear Resurrection's podcast, and it was Metal Gear D Model who told me that. He was like, it's called something different in your country. I was like, no, I didn't know that.
Are ninjas not allowed in the UK?
It was too violent.
Clearly not too violent, yeah.
It's a pirate country over there.
Pirates versus ninjas, yeah.
Yeah.
Gotta pick a side. Good call.
Didn't they like hide? They also like edited footage to like show the weapons less prominently too.
Yeah. I mean,
one of the weapons got changed, I'm pretty sure. I think it was
the nunchucks.
I think it was the nunchucks.
Yeah, it got turned into a grappling hook. Yeah.
Dude, I had a pair of the nunchucks as a kid, like legit ones.
There
was a corner store, like the knife store, and the guy sold nunchucks for $20. My grandfather took me there, and I was like, cool, nunchucks. He's like, you want them? I was like, yeah. I got nunchucks.
I've got 5 pair in the other room. Just chilling.
Right?
Some rattan,
Yeah. These were not cushioned. These were real.
Oh yeah, no, these are hardwood. I've got a couple foam, but a couple are hardwood, a couple are rattan. They hurt.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, there is 4 of us, and there is 4 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah. Just all be Mikey.
The 4 humors.
But yeah, I mean, the Cowabunga collection, like the emulation and stuff, like there's some small issues, I think, with that. Like, of course, like the online play, people are complaining about lag with the fighting games and shit.
There's no crossplay, right?
I think that there's online play, but I don't think there's crossplay between different systems now. Like I was showing you like the Turtles in Time like arcade version. Like there was that one little part where like the grating and the metal wasn't like lined up perfectly. So it's like small little details like that. They had good filters on it, like where you could do the monitor and the LCD scan lines and shit.
Yeah, the retro filters are really good. They were. I was impressed that they were actually like pixel accurate scan lines, because if you go and play like. This has been a real pet peeve for me lately, but if you go and play the PS1 classics that are out on PS4 and 5 now through the new PlayStation Plus plan, how many times can you say PS in a sentence? Jeez. They've got a scan line option for the PS1 games, but it's like the cheapest overlay imaginable. It's not pixel accurate. It's just they like made a transparent ping with lines on it and slapped it on. It's so awful. But like this is actually really good.
Yeah, and that's like the Cowabunga collection. It seems like the developer Digital Eclipse, they did an awesome job at just like getting all this knocked out and getting all the extras in there. You can really like zoom in on all those magazine ads, and
that's Digital Eclipse. That's the company that like Frank Cifaldi from the Video Game History Foundation, like he assists with that company, doesn't he?
I don't know.
Like they do a lot of retro collections, and generally they do a pretty good job with them.
But as far as as I could tell, like I just hopped in on Turtles in Time and jumped around, beat the first level. It was like it's playing fine for me. Like I'm not one to be like, oh, the frames per second are off, and like I don't know if it has a little bit of slowdown and sprite flicker. I grew up with that, so it's fine. Like
that feels like a personal attack.
Well, all I'm saying is like I'm speaking from a place of like inexperience of like I can't really detect that shit, like when stuff is going on, and like they even have some of the options in the game to turn off sprite flicker and all these like different like, cheat modes and stuff that you can do.
You can play it janky if you want to, yeah.
Yeah, and it's pretty cool. So I mean, this is I think I said it on another episode, but like this has got me thinking, the Metal Gear collections, something like some kind of form of like where they're collecting of not all of the games, of course, but like maybe some of the first, the retro games, throw Ghost Babel in there and then throw in a bunch of extra shit. Like
Metal Gear 2, Ghost Babel, Snake's Revenge, put it in a collection, throw in a bunch of marketing.
Metal Gear NES.
Just
yeah.
Put in the NES version for God's sake.
Metal Gear 1 and 2, Metal Gear NES 1 and 2, Japanese version Metal Gear 1 and 2. Like, yeah, throw in the MSX Japanese and English fan version, like all of it.
Well, I mean, yeah, like do like English and Japanese MSX. I mean, obviously they're not going to be able to do like the original face portraits. Like there are going to have to be some concessions.
No, but like throw in the updated ROMs in there and throw in the old like untranslated like rough as shit versions. Like let people have all the different versions, because that's pretty much what this Cowabunga collection is. Like you can literally just hit a button.
This isn't the first collection like this that these guys have done. I think it's probably one of their most sophisticated ones, but they were also doing like the Mega Man Legacy collection.
Yeah.
Or like the SNK anniversary collection. Like that's what these guys did as well.
Okay.
Or like the Disney Classic Games collection that had like Aladdin, Jungle Book, and Lion King on it. That was them too.
Okay.
Like they do these kinds of projects and they are very good at it. Actually, Frank Cifaldi would be interesting to get on to talk about game preservation. I'd be interested to talk to him about like old Metal Gear stuff and kind of pick his brain on that and see what he thinks.
Yeah.
The Video Game History Foundation does a lot of interesting stuff, but that's all. I would like to pick his brain on that.
Speaking of like preserving Metal Gear history, and I know that we're almost at time, but can we talk about that Raspberry's dad just happened to find a sealed Tiger Electronics Snake's Revenge game, handheld game, like out in the garage or something. That was insane.
Yeah.
You know, if you're listening, I'll buy it for $100. Whole big $100.
Nice Franklin. How much is that in yen? She's in Japan.
Right now it's stronger than the yen, so you're gonna do well on that deal. You know, that's a couple and some nice dinners out. You know.
Hey, how many days has it been since like a MGS remake article, Nitroid?
Oh God. Okay, let me check the calendar here.
Because you had to reset the old counter there the other day, didn't you? And that kind of set you back a little bit.
God bless. Say what you will about strange brain structure, but God bless it for taking all the remake articles and blogs from the past, however, and just shoving them aside on the algorithm.
Yeah.
I did love that. Unfortunately, we also got shoved aside. So if you search Kojima Podcast, good luck finding us.
A worthy sacrifice. No, I'm just playing.
Yeah. I'll take that deal.
Yeah.
I'll take that deal. Yeah, I made a joke about how, like, days since last Metal Gear rumor, because VGC was talking about, like, collections that are in the works, and TGS and Konami, like, they're doing their usual, reporting rumors stuff, and it was 203 days since a Metal Gear rumor. Had to set it back to 0.
Damn.
Yeah, we were doing good. It's actually pretty good. I checked. I literally checked. It was 200.
Yeah, I remember you're like, that was an accurate.
I did the math. The remake's actually going to happen. I'm not going to believe it, dude. That's the worst part about this, is when they actually do announce something, I'm going to think it's fake.
We're going to have a hard time believing it. That's going back to like MGSV, man. Like, we didn't know what the fuck that game was for like the longest time. Like that game gave a lot of people trust issues. Like, I don't know.
Many people went to therapy because of that. Like, I can't believe anything my spouse says anymore. Like, I don't know if it's just part of the ruse. What if Kojima got to them?
Oh, no.
Someone out there is like, it probably took it that far. I hate to say it, but like, yeah. Yeah, I wonder how Kojima got David Bowie to write a song about Metal Gear. Whoa.
Oh man,
God, it's so awful. You go to any of the tracks. That's the one real big downside about this, is that like if you look up the tracks that are used in any of the trailers, they're just full of Metal Gear comments.
Yeah.
Some of them even like will return results from Google that say they are from Metal Gear. It's so annoying.
The only game he ever wrote music for was a David Cage game.
All right. Was it Omicron or something?
Omicron the Nomad Soul, yeah.
He was in the game.
That. He was in the game as character, yeah.
I need to play that.
If you've never seen the Super Best Friends playthrough of that, my God, you are missing something incredible.
You're going to have to link me to that. I want to watch that later.
It's a long one, but
God, I remember that game being like a fever dream. That was such a weird time in my life, like playing through. I remember playing it, but I don't remember playing it.
You played it at launch?
I don't know.
I did. I had it on the Dreamcast.
I'm so jealous of both
I
of
fucking
you.
loved it.
I bought like every Dreamcast game that was available, like when I had it. And
That system was great.
that's what sucks about my story about me letting a buddy borrow my Dreamcast with all my games, because they're all gone except for Code Veronica.
Hold on, did I miss something? Is Omicron on the Dreamcast?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Dreamcast and PC.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, because like Dreamcast had a pretty small library, like in comparison to other ones. So like I got like pretty much every game for it, and like just like would look up games for it.
So good though, wasn't it?
It couldn't be beat on like arcade ports. Like its arcade ports was so good.
That was the Marvel vs. Capcom 2 system for a while.
Yeah.
So good. I used to play Hydro Thunder like crazy on mine.
Also, I'll say maybe one of the best sports eras ever for like NFL 2K1. Like,
oh, dude,
like holy shit, what a game! Like, not even a sports fan like ever normally, but like, goddamn,
yeah, but they were so good.
Yeah, it played like butter.
It was like a serious version of NFL Blitz.
Yeah, good
you
call.
know,
Yep.
it played that easily, but it wasn't like a joke game.
Which that's normally what I had to do. I would have to play like Mutant League Football or Blitz to have fun with that shit. But like, NFL 2K1 was just like, and all the other sports pretty much, like during that, like the hockey game was good, the basketball was good, Virtua Tennis was good.
Yeah, NHL Blitz was so good.
Yeah,
I liked. I think it was called like Zombie. Zombie what? Remember what it was called?
Ate My Neighbors.
No, it was not Zombies Ate My Neighbors. It was a 3D like 3-player shooter. Zombie Revenge. It was really corny, and it was just a lot of fun. It was like a third-person arcadey style game. Like you said, it was a great system for arcade games, you know?
Oh, okay. I remember this cover. Yep. Okay. Yep.
And because we've sort of gone off the beaten path here to talk about Dreamcast, and we're going really long, and I swear I could talk about Dreamcast like all night, I'm going to swing it back around to Kojima and say, did you know that Zone of the Enders at one point was being made for the Dreamcast?
Oh.
And
I legit did not know that.
One of the proposed titles for the game before they decided on Zone of the Enders was Atlantis, taken from the TV series Man from Atlantis, because the guy in the show had shorts that had a logo that looked kind of like the Dreamcast logo.
Huh? Oh, what was that thing that we saw in the Cowabunga collection that showed like the prototype of Metal Gear on like what the fuck was that?
Okay, so there is so what we were talking about earlier with Metal Gear showing up in the Cowabunga collection is it has a lot of magazine ads, and there are a couple in there that show Metal Gear alongside Ninja Turtles, because those were the big 2 games for the Ultra Games subsidiary for Konami, right? And there's a screenshot for Metal Gear that is very clearly not Metal Gear, but it looks like Metal Gear. It's like a hand-drawn Metal Gear screenshot. It's really bizarre.
It's we've got Metal Gear at home. Metal Gear,
exactly. we finally found Steel Cog. It was there all along. But apparently it's like a drawn concept of what the IBM or Amiga version of Metal Gear was going to look like, and there's not a huge amount of information on that. And like, if you want to see more, check out Arkhound. His account on Twitter. He's also got a website that's got a lot of translated materials. It's worth checking out. Really, really cool guy.
Yeah.
Knows tons of stuff, and he talks a little bit about this. But yeah, it's from one of those early versions, and it's like a drawn prototype. It's like a drawn concept for it that they just used, I guess, for the NES because it's what they had.
Yeah, just at that time of the publication, it must have. Yeah, they just had like early prototypes, just like asking for whatever footage or screens they had.
Yeah, it's like, imagine if Metal Gear was on Atari.
Yeah,
and that's kind of what it looks like. It's really funny.
I really do hope for one of those type of collections to come out for Metal Gear, even just for the extras that would come out of it. You know, I'm sure there's a bunch of little nuggets.
Yeah. Give us that. Give us Snatcher and Police Knots in a collection. Just please give us something. Please. Please.
Just put it in a box and we'll buy it.